This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome to Dialogue with Divinity, everyone. This is your host, Johanna Carroll, and you are listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. For 30 years, I've been a spiritual counselor, radio and TV host, author of multiple books, and someone who starts every single day with a cup of tea. So today we're going to be speaking to a wonderful goddess of the tea system, of meditation and the spiritual aspects of tea. And I want to tell you a little bit about her. So Dharlene Marie Fahl, a number of years ago, about 13 years ago, she asked herself two questions. Gee, what is tea anyway? And why was tea associated with spirituality and tranquility? But little did she know that in seeking those answers, her entire life would change. So this is what we would like you to know about her. She's a level 3 certified tea specialist with a Specialty Institute of America. She's an inaugural member of the American Tea Masters Association. And you know I always bring you the wisdom keepers, so we have a tea master with us today. She's additionally traveled to the tea fields in China, India, and Japan, and spoke in each one of these countries. She's attended 12 World Tea Expos. She's been an Amazon bestselling author and is now a publisher and founder of Red Poppy Press. Her message to people remains to be always the same. In the time it takes to mindfully sip a cup of tea, you can calm your mind, change your thoughts, release harmful stress, and claim the greatness to your life. So without further ado, we want to welcome our goddess of tea, Dharlene Marie Fahl, to Dialogue with Divinity.
Thank you, Joanna. It's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to have tea with you finally. We'll do it this way, and then we'll do it in person someday real soon. But thank you for having me.
I want to tell you that from the time I was a very small child living in Connecticut and starting every winter morning, summer, spring, I never had hot oatmeal or anything like that, but I always had a cup of tea. So I think innately, maybe it was a past life or something, I was always, and I still am, drawn to tea. For me, I don't know if it was past life or whatever, but for me, there's something so comforting for me. Very first thing, it's like a meditative practice for me. Very first thing in the morning, after I brush my teeth or whatever, first thing, I've got tea waiting for me. And so I want to find out, first of all, why tea? I mean, how did your journey even start with this? And by the way, I also need you to know, I've never in my life ever had a cup of coffee, ever, ever, ever. So you're talking to a tea queen here, but I'm really curious, how did this start? How did your journey begin with tea?
Well, first of all, I want to say that you know that you're very rare and unusual in this country because you have that experience and that you are a tea drinker and you've never had coffee. So, please know that you're among the very few in this country. But, I was a Canadian girl and born and raised with tea. A lot of the British traditions were just kind of adopted by the Canadians. And
Sure.
Been drinking it my whole life. And, I was in my 40s and I said, well, gee, what is this stuff anyway? Where does it come from? How does it get into the tea bag? And it was just amazing at discovering the answers to all of that. And it's just been this amazing journey where I just wanted to, it's like, okay, who else asks these questions? And so I just started doing research, and all of a sudden I was showing up at the first World Tea Expo and saw this whole crazy group of people that are, tea fanatics, and companies and representation from the whole world was there. So it was huge, and it was phenomenal, and I was hooked right from the get-go.
So if say I'm a total neophyte and I've never ever even seen tea leaves or a tea bag, very quickly before we take our first break, if you were to say to this person, let me tell you about tea, what would you say to them in a couple of sentences?
Okay, well, first of all, it all comes from one plant. Green tea, oolong, white tea, black tea, that all comes from the same plant. And if it doesn't come from that plant, then it's not tea that you're drinking. So these the same plant yields all of these different varieties of tea. It's in the way that it's processed and dried that determines whether it's going to be a white tea or a black tea.
So what was the origination? I mean, obviously you're a master and a goddess in the tea world. How did tea first come to be? I mean, I know certainly it's been around through the ages, hasn't it?
Thousands and thousands of years, and I don't think too many of our experts can actually pinpoint it, and I've seen many, many different numbers, anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 and maybe more. And of course, in the old days when food was scarce and people were still trying to evolve, and they were trying to survive off of what was growing. Can we eat this plant? Can we eat this berry? What does this bark do? And so, a lot of our plants and herbs and all these things were just discovered out of basically necessity for a lot of people. And there's lots of ancient legends, but the tea plant, the tea bush, was found just growing wild naturally in China, and then on the other side of the Himalayas, growing naturally in India.
Oh, that's all. We're going to be taking a quick
It was a
break.
medicine
We will
for
be right
thousands
back,
of years
Dharlene.
before.
We will be right back. We will be right back.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Hi, everybody. It's Johanna Carroll. You're listening to Dialogue with Divinity, and we're jumping back into our second segment, and we're speaking with tea goddess Dharlene Fahl today. She's telling us a little about not only the history of tea, but the spiritual aspects of tea. And so before we went to break, Dharlene, we're talking about the fact that nobody really knows the origins of tea, just probably a survival thing that somebody went out and said, okay, there's this leaf on this bush, I'm going to see what happens. And so we know that we said, and I actually never knew that tea, real authentic tea, is actually all from one plant. So, and the legends of tea, I'm sure, depending upon the culture, are very different. So I know you've been to China, you've been to India, you've been to Japan. In terms of those different cultures, is there a different approach? I know the Japanese have beautiful, amazing tea ceremonies, which is part of the whole geisha tradition. But as far as the other cultures, is there anything that makes tea unique and different, or are they all interconnected?
Well, of course they're interconnected, but people do, it's a beverage of reverence in a lot of countries, and it's also a beverage of hospitality, and this is how you welcome someone into your home or to your culture. And of course, in the history of the, through the Japanese tea ceremony and such, has been that it is about honoring the person that you're serving the tea to. It's about a reverence for the beverage, and in respect of that beverage, there's not all this idle chatter. It's more about two spirits communicating. And if you've ever watched the Japanese tea ceremony, it's very quiet. There's hardly any talking that goes on, and it's more about, we're being in this place of respecting each other's spirit, and I'm honoring you by serving you this cup of tea, and you're honoring me by allowing me to serve you this cup of tea. So it's beautiful, and of course, and that's really where the spiritual aspects started to evolve, just from tea, and it has its roots in Buddhism. And it was definitely the Buddhist monks who discovered the plant, and for their hours of meditation, they needed something that kept them awake yet calm. And tea, to this day, they knew that by chewing the leaves thousands of years ago. And today we scientifically prove that tea stimulates you but calms you at the same time.
That's interesting. So when you say that, so there's a biochemical reaction that the body responds to from the actual tea leaves, mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Yes, and it's that they, yes, there's caffeine in the beverage naturally, but there's a component called L-theanine, which makes the caffeine do and react differently in your body than it does from caffeine from other sources. So this is what they discovered, chewing the leaf, that, wow, this beverage keeps us stimulated for hours of meditation. And so then they learned to grow it and propagate it and take the seeds to other countries and introduce it to other people. And so that's kind of the, the spiritual aspect of it, because often, people say, oh my God, I need my cup of coffee to pump myself up. But then tea has this, oh, I just need to sit and have my cup of tea feeling. And that's what I wanted to know. Why? How had that started? And so, of course, it was the Buddhist monks, and they were in China and then took this to other countries, and it was a medicine for thousands of years before people dried the leaf and put it in boiling water.
How do they use it for medicinal purposes? Again, to calm the system down?
Yes, and by just chewing the raw leaf. I don't think they swallowed it, but they chewed it, and you get the benefits of the nutrients and the components in it. And they found that, wow, okay, this keeps us awake, because it was not good if you fell asleep meditating. So,
which a lot of people do.
This is where it started, where this whole tranquil aspect came from tea.
So this whole concept of it being a stimulant, not Red Bull fashion, that's for sure. But now we see there's all kinds. There's obviously loose tea. There's teas in bags. There's decaffeinated tea. Is that really tea if it's decaffeinated?
It does go through a decaffeinating process, just like coffee does. The two processes for both plants are completely different. But I'm just wondering, are you, in Southern California, we grow a bush that's called the camellia bush. Are you familiar with that?
I'm also in Southern California, even though our station is based in Canada. No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, because I got family on the west coast of Canada, and they have camellias all over. So the tea plant is called the Camellia sinensis. So all tea comes from that plant. But here in Southern California, we have this lovely flowering bush called the Camellia japonica, and it's got this in between a rose and a carnation, and it blooms in our area between November and April, and those are sister plants. So the leaves here on our camellias look very similar to the tea leaf that's growing in other parts of the world, but they're not. You can't make tea from the one that grows here in America. But it grows all over the world. It's just a beautiful, beautiful bush, and but those are, they're related. So, but the tea leaves come from a bush called the Camellia sinensis.
So what if people, I guess I'm repeating what you've already said, you couldn't actually go into your garden, pick these leaves, dry them, and make a tea brew, could you?
Well, there are like 14 different states in this country where people are doing it. The tea fanatics are getting the Camellia sinensis, growing it, and plucking the leaves and drying them and making their own, artisan teas and hand rolled, hand dried, and drinking it. And we're actually doing a pretty good job of it, a lot of them.
My older son, who is a master in martial arts, in order to do this, he had to go through a lot of ceremonial kinds of things, and one of them was a fast and et cetera, and meditation, et cetera, and all of that. And he is the one who gifted me my first container of matcha. And I'm assuming that you're familiar with matcha, but it's a powdered green tea. It's very expensive, and he said that this was used, the Japanese warriors in particular. I don't know if this is correct. I would imagine that you can confirm or affirm or not affirm this, that they would use this. Again, it's a green tea, so it's got a lot of energy to it, but it was also used in preparation for before they went into battle. To really get it. So Mom. What is this? The magic of
so a lot
matcha?
of a lot of the samurai warriors, because they learned of the tea ceremony, and that it was a time of reverence and appreciation for and meditation, where whatever you were working on in your life or working with, that you use that cup of tea as time to just be in that place of oneness, be in that place of wholeness, and allowing the universe to guiding and for wisdom. And yes, matcha is one of our finest grades of tea leaf that is actually pulverized, and so it's ground into that beautiful, brilliant green powder that you need a special whisk to blend it properly, because it's going to be lumpy if you don't have that special whisk. And so of course we're seeing versions of that popping up all over America, where we're making the matcha lattes and things like that, but we're counteracting all the good stuff in there by everything else that we're putting in there. But it's definitely hot in the news here big time in the last 3-4 years in America. So yeah, matcha is on the radar big time.
So do you think that as with a lot of things right now, we're going to use the tea as a metaphor, are people, by doing these combinations, diluting the actual spiritual experience? In other words, there's such to me, a blessing and a benefit that comes from the quiet space of just sitting. And I know that one of the things you talk about is 7 sips to bliss, which I'm assuming is part of a ceremony within itself. But are we diluting the opportunity to connect to our body, mind, and spirit by going to all these coffee bars and having our matcha latte and all of that? Are we missing something, do you think?
Well, yes and no, of course. And we can do almost anything mindfully or mindlessly. So, it becomes a choice. I mean, doing dishes can be a meditation. And so, yes, we are a gulp and go society. And so, I mean, I'm just happy that people are actually trying it and are aware of it, and and maybe as they're exposed and thought, well, okay, now this leads to another tea, and it's, oh, let's try that, and it's like, oh, I don't need all that sweet stuff anymore, and let me have it natural. Let me see what it's like to drink this and taste it naturally without anything else in it. And so America's having a bit of a hard time with that, but it's getting better.
Also, I'm noticing there's a lot more, at least in Southern California, I'm noticing a lot of tea shops really popping up where it's becoming sort of fashionable to go to a high tea kind of situation. But the other thing that I'm seeing that's really valuable is there's this educational opportunity to learn so much about. I really feel that initially from the Garden of Eden, we were given everything that we needed. So, we were talking about how was this discovered, but I'm almost wondering if tea was really a plant, a bush in the original Garden of Eden. And it's always been there, but people are really, as their spirituality level of awareness is rising up, maybe their instinctual response to this beautiful tea plant is finally catching on. Do you think it's becoming a trend on some level?
Well, definitely here in America. The other parts of the world are going like, wow, what took you so long? And for a long time, what was being sold here in this country was what the other countries were refusing to buy. So, but we're getting more sophisticated, and like you said, tea shops are popping up, and we've got 4,000 of them across the country, and where they're just dedicated tea shops, and a lot of them that don't do the British afternoon style tea are very tea savvy and want you to have a cup and try it, and they will teach you. They're doing this because they love it, and so they've got a lot of information, and they're more than happy to share that. So people can go in and really learn a lot, have a tasting experience, and figure out for themselves what works best for them.
Okay, so very quickly, before we take our next break, what's the difference between having loose tea or tea that's in a bag? Are we losing the value if it's in a bag? If you could just tell me really quickly, what's the difference?
It's getting better. Normally, it used to be a much lower grade that was ground up and put into the tea bag. But now we've got this huge evolution of the tea bag, and so you can get a fuller loose leaf into a nice pyramid sachet now. And so, you have the ease and the benefit of a full leaf in a big tea bag. So that is changing considerably, yes.
And I've also seen in the tea shops, they sell these little cloth bags that you can put your tea in, and then the silk bags.
Yes.
But what about the regular stuff that's in these bleached white bags that's in the store? Are they something we should stay away from, or they are okay?
Well, I won't say that, because I've really seen huge changes in the grocery store shelf.
Good.
And some of our big companies, good organic, good environmentally conscientious companies, are on the grocery store shelf. So
Okay.
they're definitely getting better, and you can get a good selection in there, yes.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. This is Dialogue with Divinity, and we will be right back with our discussion about tea.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Johanna Carroll once again with Dialogue with Divinity. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And by the way, I just want to remind you that we have a wonderful, wonderful list of hosts and different shows on the X-Zone. So if you'd like to check it out, just go to xzbn.net for a full listing of all of our shows. So we're returning to our tea goddess for today, which is Dharlene Fahl. We were talking about the fact that things are becoming a little bit better, but I have to tell you that's rather shocking to me that people in the U.S. were getting the bottom of the barrel of the tea leaves. That's not such a good thing. And then again, it kind of reminds me of, the old gypsy woman sitting with your cup of tea and reading the leaves on the bottom. So I don't know if there's a relationship there or not.
Yeah,
what
so things
about
are
that?
changing and it's getting better. Yes.
The reading of the tea leaves. Talk to me a little bit about that. How did that come to be?
Of course, I've investigated it, and many, many years ago, I used to have that kind of stuff done all the time. I haven't run into too many lately. It's just strange, but of course, those who are looking into the cup and looking at the tea leaves generally are pretty in tune, and are picking up on a whole lot of things. And so I have had very wonderful and accurate readings by having someone look at the tea leaves in the bottom of my cup, and so it's just kind of, sometimes you make a better connection with somebody. But yes, it's ancient and been around for a long time.
Well, I know with many, 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 many centuries ago, people did use some kind of a tool to read people's energy. And I don't know if it was a distraction for them or the other person, but they looking in a pool of water. Obviously, we think of looking in a crystal ball, which is rather woo-woo. The tea leaves. At one time, as gross as it sounds, they actually looked in the organs of an animal. They looked in the looking glass. So it was just, I wonder if it was just another divination tool on some level. But I do love the fact with the tea leaves that there was a connection to something that was sacred from the ground and out of Gaia's heart, as far as being natural. So we talk about the fact that tea is medicine. And so are there different kinds of tea? I know we talked about the energy from the matcha tea, the preparation of that for the samurai warriors, etc. But as far as, I go to an acupuncturist, and many times he gives me different kinds of tea, and I just trust him. So I never really ask him, what are you really giving me here? But how do we use tea as medicine besides, being ceremonial, besides giving us a greater sense of peace and harmony and tranquility? Is there medicinal tea for various ailments?
Oh, yeah, yes, in tea, definitely. I'm thinking your acupuncturist might have some herbal combination over there, but he very well, or she, could be serving, a green tea or something, because a lot of them are very, receptive to that too. But there are, thousands of herbs that do different things, and of course, most of the news that released about tea, anything from cancer prevention to bone density and osteoporosis, that one, and so the health benefits, and mostly because it's of the high antioxidant value that's in the tea leaves. And, we need those for all the cells in our bodies and, for many different diseases.
When you took your trips to China and the different countries and went into the tea fields, I mean, that would be like overload for me. I would probably pass out or something. So,
well, it does have this, this amazing impact on you. And I was up in the very northeast in India, and we're right at the foothills of the Himalayas. So Mount Everest is buried in the mist and clouds in the distance. But I had some very profound experiences in there, and it's the first place in India that's quiet. The air is clean because you're sort of above the pollution levels, and the water that runs through the creeks and stuff is, is clear and pristine, and it was just beautiful. It was a really heartfelt experience walking through the tea fields in there. And the women are all plucking the tea leaves, and they're singing and humming and, chatting away, and yeah, it was very cool.
So how do you actually, how do you personally, or how do you teach people to meditate with tea? And for those of you that are listening, put your coffee cup away just for a day. Put that cup away for a day. That'll be a new mantra for you. And, get some really good, beautiful tea, maybe something that, speaks to your heart and soul. And maybe this becomes your quiet moment where you reconnect to your body, your mind, particularly your soul and your spirit. So, Dharlene, how can you guide people that are listening to actually make this a meditative process? How can we meditate with tea?
Okay, well, you start by filling that cup up and saying, okay, for the entire time it takes me to mindfully sip this cup of tea, I'm just going to surrender. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to plan anything. I'm just going to be present. And you sit with that cup of tea, and depending on the size of your cup, it might take you 20 minutes, but can you do that for yourself? Will you do that for yourself? And just sit in a place that's comfortable, and every sip is sort of a reminder of, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be thinking about that. So every time you take that sip, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to surrender, and I'm just going to be in this place. And so by the time you've had your fourth and fifth and sixth sip, you're really in a comfortable place. And some people, this may take a little while to get there in the beginning, but I promise you do this and you will get there. It's just, you catch yourself, and I say, every time you put your lips to the cup to take a sip, you let everything go and say, oh, that's right, I'm not supposed to put that on my grocery list. That doesn't need to be on my to-do list. I'm just letting it all go. And so this time holding this beverage is warm and it's comforting, it's aromatic and it's soothing, and you put yourself in a nice place. For the whole entire time it takes you to sip that cup. Does that sound hard?
It sounds really, I think that's probably what I do naturally. So I was writing some notes down while you were speaking. So instead of, for those of you that are listening, put your cup away for a day. Instead of gulp and go, how about surrender and sip? Surrender and sip. So in the ceremonial aspect of tea, when you're sipping the tea, is that what it's very symbolic of, your ability to surrender to that moment?
Well, I'm saying you give yourself that power to do that, and that this is about you being in a place to reconnect with yourself, to get back in touch, and if that leads you to a quieter place where you tune into something else, then woohoo, even better. that that this is about you just doing this for you. Even if you only can give yourself 20 minutes once a day, that's a huge start. And, I would say, wow, congratulations, because that is progress. And then it's kind of like, wow, that felt kind of good. Maybe I'll have time to do that in the afternoon. Sure. And it starts to stretch out and gets a little longer, and, stuff is happening.
There's another thing that I'd like to mention to all of you that are listening. You have to turn off your phones, unplug your phones, turn your TV off. So we do want, do we really want the atmosphere of total silence? So in other words, there should be or anything like that. Besides unplugging all the electronics, do we also want complete silence when we're doing this, if we're going to walk into that meditative state?
Everyone's different. If somebody decides they want to put a little soothing music on or whatever, you can, do that with your kitty cat or your puppy on your lap. All these things. It's just like, okay, just do this for yourself in whatever way feels good. And if you want to make it a little special for yourself and you decide, okay, I'm going to light a candle, or, I'm going to do this, or, ooh, that stuff is just too woo-woo, I'll just sit here in my chair with my tea and, I'm good. And that's okay too. But, this is about, taking that time and creating that space just for you, because when you're in a better place, you're in a better place for everyone else and everything else in your life.
I think you also have an opportunity when you come out of a state like that to allow the voice of the higher self, divinity, whatever you want to call it, spirit, God, universe. You made a connection on a more profound level, and so all those questions that you would have had maybe naturally get really answered. At least that's been my experience. I take people to a lot of sacred sites around the world, and it changes them, but you can take that with you. So, and especially with tea, it's such a portable meditation on some level. You can experience this anywhere. Would you explain to everyone that's listening the difference between an active meditation and a passive meditation?
Okay, so for passive, that kind of frightens a lot of people. That means, ooh, I have to sit in that cross-legged position and not move for 20 or 40 minutes. And, it's like, oh, no, that's too much of a challenge. And so that is. And so it's like, okay, if I can do a little something, and so to me, this sipping a cup of tea becomes an active meditation because you're actually doing something. So rather than I must sit in this position in this corner or on this hard chair and do nothing, think nothing, touch nothing for 20 minutes or whatever, that's a challenge for a lot of people.
It is.
So it's like, okay, this becomes active, and so you tell yourself that's right. Every sip I'm going to say, no, I have to let that go. And so this becomes an active meditation. And for a lot of people, that is such an easier place to start. And then it's like, okay, I can do that. That's not hard. That's not weird. And that they can just use that.
So I think another form for me of people that I've spoken to that I encourage meditation is another active meditation is obviously dancing, walking, that kind of thing, but also eating your meal. We're so used to talk about gulp and go, fast food and all that, which hopefully you're not eating a lot of. But anyway, I know when I was a kid, we always said grace before dinner. And I think that a lot of people are doing that, but for those of you that are listening, I would also like to give you another form of active meditation. Next time you sit down and eat your meal, before you pick up that fork, just take your index finger on your right hand. You don't have to have any big prayer or anything like that, but say you're out in a restaurant or whatever. Just take the tip of your index finger of your right hand and touch the edge of the plate. And then just look at the different colors, the energy in the food, and just breathe that in. Believe it or not, the action of touching the edge of the plate and breathing it in, you are connecting to all the healing properties of that food. So that is another form of active meditation.
I love that, yes.
And dancing, of course, is another one. One of my metaphysical teachings that I've been using for 30 years is that we are intended to be a walking prayer and an active meditation. So for a lot of people, sitting down in a yoga position for a half hour, it's really difficult. But this is a wonderful way to connect. So we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back with our last segment, and we're going to have some more tips for you on how to use those 7 sips of tea. We will be right back.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
We're back for our last segment with our tea goddess for today, and I just want to remind you that you are listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. I am Johanna Carroll, and if you'd like more information about my work, you can find me at my website at Johanna Carroll. That's CARROLL.com. So before we go any further, Dharlene, how can people find you and your books? I know you have this wonderful book, Serenity, obviously. How do they connect with you and your work? Where can they find you?
Okay, well, thank you. My Serenity 7 Sips to Bliss is available on Amazon. And I am Dharlene Marie Fahl, and that's I'm you're going to include the spelling there, but that's DHARLENE, Marie, MARIE, FAHL.com. So I have a couple websites out there, and also at Red Poppy Press. But if I'm happy to pass along a downloadable document that people can learn how to do these 7 sips themselves. That's completely free with no attachments, and they just, that's just a gift. If somebody wants to learn how to do that and follow along with that, it's that simple. So that is, I'll give you my email address that someone can just send me that, and I'd be happy to forward that to them, just so someone can get started and just try this and realize that, wow, this really isn't that difficult, and I can do this.
Now, I know you've got Red Poppy Press, Publishers of Positive Words, and did I read this correctly, that you're finally going to publish 12 inspirational books? Are you crazy? Talk about an act of meditation.
I guess I am, because I am crazy, and they've been sitting there for a while, so it's just time. And I'm cutting them down shorter than normal books, because people want to get through things quickly, and I understand that. And so it's just all inspirational stuff to make people feel good, and just a lot of it does include tea. I also am a poetess, so I do have a lot of poetry that's coming out as well too. So, just feel good stuff, because there's enough negative out there, and I don't want to participate in that, and feel that I can do things by contributing something positive, and that's my choice.
I was very pleased also to read that you are involving seniors and young people in the publishing process of your company. I think seniors, I don't know. Sometimes I feel, particularly in the States, we're just a throwaway society, It's kind of like you're gulp and go, throw away. It's like, how can I race through the day? And yet in so many other cultures, particularly in Asia, there's such respect and admiration that's given to the wisdom of seniors. And so the fact that I see that you're involving, because I am a senior, the fact that you are involving, I don't act like one. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to act like, but anyway, the fact that you're bringing in, those two extremes of generations, why did you decide to do that? Obviously, you had intention around that.
Well, yes, and for 4 years I brought tea into senior communities in San Diego. So, I just had my heart opened. I served tea to thousands of seniors in that 4-year time frame, and it was just so joy-filled, and we were goofy and had a great time. I set things up, made it look beautiful, and that this was for them. This was my thank you for all the service that you've done for your country and communities and families, and it was about my time to just honor them. So right now I have a whole bunch drawing angels for me, and they're going to be in a kid's book with an inspirational message from that angel. So I'm excited
there really
about
is something wonderful about the storytelling from the, there's a ceremonial part of tea, but there's also something about sitting over a cup of tea and the storytelling. I met a woman who was part of the Blitz in England, and she told me so many stories about, the tea cozy and all of that. And I know even when I was a young kid, the first time I had tea, I think my mother put sugar and milk in it, which I believe is very British. But I really want to, for those of you that are listening, how about, going on to Darlene's website, getting, I'm going to have her read to you her beautiful Serenity. I don't even know if I don't know what to call it. I guess it's a prayer. It's a prayer. And starting your tea party with this, and then just allowing yourself the experience of the camaraderie and the community and, the refreshing energy that comes from experiencing the whole aspect of sharing a cup of tea. So would you be kind enough to share this beautiful prayer with everybody that's listening right now?
Well, thank you. Yes, I'd love to. Okay, so this is the very first one I wrote. This one is called Serenity. In peaceful repose, I breathe in all that I am. I marvel at the simplicity and purity of divine serenity. From this place of perfection, I am undisturbed. I am calm and refreshed, most unperturbed. I see God. I feel God. I hear the Word. Clearly and calmly, I am one with this force. I am intact. I am whole, pure, and good. I see my reflection and my own perfection. No defects and no deficiencies. Nothing can diminish the goodness and the godness of me. In serenity and with deep gratitude, and along with each sip of tea, I realize God is all of me from within me. So with ease and grace, I surrender my pace. I have nothing to fear. There is no race, no rush, no hurry, no finish line. Every day I know victory in the arms of the divine, my giver, my deliverer, the provider of bliss. I need for nothing. The aches are all gone. My soul is free to be all that it is. Love is all it can be, and that's good enough for me. Amen.
That's beautiful. So for those of you that are listening, go find your favorite tea. First of all, I'd like you to go to Darlene. You can find her on Amazon.com. You can find her website. You can download this, and then she's got her tips on 7 Sips to Bliss. We're going to remind you all again. Put the cup away for a day. Let go of the gulp and go for a day, and surrender to those beautiful 7 sips. I'm going to ask you a practical question. What's your favorite kind of tea?
Well, that it depends on the mood I'm in, but for the most part, I am an oolong drinker and an oolong lover, which is kind of in between a green tea and a black tea. That's what I'm having right now, but there are days when I'm just in the mood for a full-strength black tea or a very mild white tea, so it's a very moody beverage for me.
I used to drink a lot of white tea, and when I first discovered it, someone had told me that this was known at one time as the Emperor's tea, and that the purest of white tea was reserved for the emperor and the people that were considered of royal blood. Is that true?
That is, yes. So you've been getting some good information, so that's good. Because, yes, at one time tea was so expensive. It was only the royalty and the upper class that ever got to drink tea, and the servants got to take home the spent leaves after it had been used, and then they had their tea with that. So, yes, it has, and that's kind of that stigma where this whole high class and all of that got attached to it. But yes, that's a true story.
And in terms of the British tradition of high tea, where did that all start? Because I have to tell you, there's a place in downtown there's a couple of places in downtown San Diego that you can go and have a true high tea, and it's fabulous. I mean, it's just, the minute I walk in there, I just feel so relaxed. But in the British tradition, how did high tea start?
Okay.
It's around 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but that is actually called afternoon tea.
Oh.
And you're there?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I heard something. No, that's all actually called afternoon tea. It's not called high tea.
Okay.
There's a big misnomer, and a lot of the big fancy hotels that are charging you $75 a person are calling it high tea. And afternoon tea is the more elegant, the more graceful, and high tea was really you ate on your high table, which was your kitchen table, and it was dinner for the working person, and it was meat and potatoes and tea with the meal. And so afternoon tea is the proper name for the fancy with the little sandwiches and the scones and all of that. So there is a difference. That is traditional British style, and yes, that did start in England, but it was a tradition that everybody ate late in those days. So it was about having a little snack of something in the middle of the afternoon.
Wonderful. Darlene, we've come to the end of our show with you, and I want to thank you again. I'm sure we'll have you back again to tell us more about your next adventure with tea. So thank you so much. Many blessings on your journey and doing your beautiful spiritual work in your own unique way. So thanks again for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you, Joanna, and all the best to you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So for those of you that are listening, don't go away. I want to remind you that you're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network. and our call letters are xzbn.net. Please go check out our website and all the different shows. We've got a lot of new hosts that are on our station now, and we're really happy about that because we are a global network reaching people all over the world. So again, my name is Johanna Carroll. You can find me at johannacarroll.com, JohannaCarroll.com. I send you many blessings, a hug around your heart, and I'm going to really encourage you, stop the gulp and go, put your cup away, and really allow yourself the serenity of sipping a beautiful cup of tea. So bye for now. See you soon.